Hey everyone, it's Celeste and welcome to my booktube channel. So this video today is all about the Book Bitches Summer Bingo card. I think I mentioned this last year, but I can't remember if I did or not, but I think I've made up my mind that I wanted to dedicate like a whole series of videos on what we have going on with the bingo this year. So we decided, in past years, we've waited and done the bingo from like June 1st through August. And this is the third year. And over the course of these years, we've gotten a little more, I don't know, organized, or we've sort of finalized some of what we want to have happen. And so this year, we decided to start our bingo earlier. So we've started it in May. And then we're going to talk about what we've read to cover up our squares when we get together in September. So I have all of that time. So our summer is kind of like stretching out. And down here in Texas, it's starting to feel like summer. So yeah, I know it's not technically summer, but it feels like summer. And I only have 2 more weeks of school left to teach. So about to be on summer break. So anyway, the bingo card, we brainstorm as a group what we want to put in the squares, and we use one of those like free online bingo generators. So what I'll do for you guys, just because I care, I'll put the link to the card that we created in the description box down below. And the way that it works is you click on it, it generates a card. If you don't really want to use that card, you can refresh the page and it'll create a whole new card. And then when you finally decide on a card, that's the card you use. So what I did is I printed out my card and I took a screenshot of it. So I have a digital copy on my phone, like in my favorites or whatever in my photo reel. And then I have a paper copy of it here, because I'm an old school girl and I like to have paper copies of things. So for this video, what I wanted to do was go through and talk about the different rows, and what I wanted, I'm just going to start across the top. And so if you print yourself out a card, it'll be different than mine. Like, I guarantee it'll be different because there's more ideas than we had boxes for. So like, you might get one of the prompts that's not on my card, because there are some prompts that aren't on my card. So anyway, here's what I have going across the top. And this is sort of like a TBR, because these are books. My goal is, getting ahead of myself, is to read books that I already own, so I don't buy any more books, because I feel like I have too many books in my house, and I need, like, I'm always on this, like, I don't know, intense desire to try to get more of my books read. And, you know, because I don't like unhauling books that I haven't read yet, so I try to, like, get to them. So that's what's up with that. So anyway, here is my top row. Okay, so my top row, going left to right, I have true crime, reread a childhood favorite, graphic novel with a number in the title, and that came out the year you turned 25. Because all of us in our book club are older than 25. So I think the youngest person is in her 30s. And so that number worked for us. That might not work for some of you. If you're a youngin', you might have to, I don't know, figure it out. Pick a different age. Pick a different age. But we did that one, I think last year on the bingo card, we had a square that was similar to that, but the age was like 17 or something, 16. It was in the teens. So anyway, this year's number is 25, and so that's what I have across there. So for the first square, the only physical book that I have to show you guys on what I think I might read is this one. This is Alice and Gerald by Ron Frashel. Francel. There we go. A homicidal love story. This is about, I think, a true crime that happened in the 1970s. So I really like going to true crime that happened a little farther back, because then I probably haven't heard it anymore. So it's a little more like, oh my gosh, what happened? Because it's a story I might not have heard about. And so basically, I think this has to do with like someone killing a spouse, I think that's what's going on there. I kind of go into true crime not wanting to know a lot, so I don't really know a whole lot about this except what it's, you know, telling me here, and that I think it happened in the 1970s. Also, what I like about it is it has like a section where there's like, let me show you guys, ooh, pictures. I like a nonfiction book that has a glossy set of pictures in the middle. So that is the only physical true crime that I had handy to show you guys. I do also, from like Kindle Unlimited, have an Anne Rule book, but I don't remember the title of it. She wrote many true crime books, and so one of them is on Kindle Unlimited, and one of them, because I read The Stranger Beside Me, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll read something else and see, because that one had like a personal connection. I wanted to read one that maybe didn't have a personal connection to see what I thought of her writing. I might read that one on the Kindle, who knows. Okay, so that was for the true crime box. I know that wasn't super exciting. The next one, reread a childhood favorite. So I actually was inspired by Kayla over at Books and Lala, because she's had a series, I think last year she was running through it. She might still be doing it, where she was reading books from different ages of her life. And I was really fascinated with those vlogs because, it was like talking about, you know, she was showing pictures and telling stories about those years, but also like some of these books that you might not have seen or talked about in a long time. And the other thing that was interesting to me about it was that she's not the same age as me. So the books that she was reading were of an age that I didn't share. And she's from Canada. I'm not from Canada. I'm really far away from Canada. So, so those really interested me. So it kind of got me into thinking like, well, what would mine look like? And sadly, I don't have as good a memory as she does. And so I did actually pull and kind of collect and get in my grubby hands some books that I read as a child. And so I actually have a couple of those that I can read for this box. So that's really nice. The first one that I'll show you guys, and I actually put a bookmark at the beginning of it, so like with the intention of, you know, the intention of reading it, is Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. This is one of those Newbery Award-winning books. I think it was published originally in the 60s. I read this book, and in fact, I think I read like a cover that looked like this version of the book, where it's like this tiny little kid-size mass market paperback type size. I think I read this when I was in 4th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. So we're talking like 9, maybe 8, 9, 10, somewhere in those years. It had a big impact on me. Like it was, I don't know that I loved it per se, but I do want to go back and reread it as an adult to see what I think about it, because it was a book that I remember. I read a lot, and so if I remember it, then it kind of means something. Another one that I read, oh, and I read that one in school. So that's a school one. But another one that I read as a child that I didn't read as a part of like any kind of school assignment is Wait Till Helen Comes by Mary Downing Hahn. Okay, I can't talk tonight. So, and this is probably an accurate cover to what I was reading. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I read this, I went through a kick when I was a kid where I was reading a lot of these books, and the sort of the trope of these books was children who encounter ghosts and have to figure something out. And so Wait Till Helen Comes is one of those books. It's like one of the main books that you would hear like when you're talking about, there's a whole bunch of these, and a lot of them were published by like the Avon Books for Kids or whatever, like in this little kid size. This is interesting. I bought this used from like an online used bookstore, and let me show you guys this. It's a signed edition. So this was signed to Justin. Wherever you are, Justin, I don't know, but now I have your book and it's signed. So I'm really interested in reading this because it was truly a favorite. It was impactful and a favorite, and I wanted to see like what I think of it now. Okay, so those are 2 options. There are probably some other options I could dig up, like, ooh, I read Bunnicula, you know, but the Vampire Bunny, like that was another one that I was really into. I'm really dating myself. Well, when I get to the last box, I'll really truly date myself. So anyway, the next box going across is graphic novels. So I went to my shelves to see what graphic novels I had that I hadn't read, and here's what I came up with. So I have Hey Kiddo by, who is this? Jarrett Krozowska. Oh, I probably messed up his name. There it is. It is a memoir style graphic novel that is about this this man's childhood and how difficult it was. And I think there's like deeper issues with like maybe alcoholism or drugs or something like that. So this one's kind of a hard-hitting graphic novel. And I think it won awards. I could be wrong, but I think it might have won an award or something. It's not terribly old. Another one, and this wasn't even on my shelf, this was on my husband's shelf, but it kind of goes along, it kind of goes along with like true crime type stuff, but it's My Friend Dahmer by Durf Back Durf, and it's one that is about Jeffrey Dahmer, which is, like, that's a hard topic, but I know, like, most people on Netflix, I did watch that series last year, and I have read a lot about serial killers because basic white girls do that. And then the other graphic novel that I picked up that I thought I might get around to is The Arab of the Future, A Childhood in the Middle East, 1978 to 1984. It's a graphic memoir by Riyad Sattouf, and I might have messed up his name too. I've had this one, and you might be able to see like dust on it. I've had this one for a while, and you can see like the art styling of it. I'm interested in it. It was, it's blurbed on the back by like Alison Bechdel and, some other, people who have published graphic novels. So those are some that I'm looking at because, again, I'm trying to read things that I already have on my shelf rather than pick up something new. The next square on here, I was not prepared for how many I would find or how difficult it felt like it would be, but the square is a book with a number in the title. So for this one, I roamed around my house looking at my bookshelves, looking at my stacks of books to see what did I have that had numbers in the title. And I was being kind of picky with it in the sense of like, I didn't want to use words like first or second because I know technically you can write those out with numbers, but I was looking for numbers. And so I found a few different ones to choose from. So this one, when I actually read for this square, who knows which one I'll pick. So one of the first ones that I grabbed is a romance novel by Sally Thorne, 99% Mine, 99. So it has numbers on it. This was after, I think this is the book she published second after the Hating Game, which I really enjoyed the Hating Game, pretty much like everybody else. This one, I heard not so great reviews, so I hadn't gotten to it yet. So I'm kind of curious, like maybe it's time for me to get to it, but it's a romance, so I have a romance choice. And then I have I guess a thriller type book that is, what is this? 3 Truths and a Lie by Brent Hardinger. This is just a paperback copy. I'm pretty sure it is, kind of young adult or new adult or whatever. This particular copy, I don't know if you can see it here. I took it to the beach and it got a little bit water damaged on the bottom. So that's kind of a bummer, but I can still read it. It's just warped pages. But I feel like this would be a quick read and it's kind of beachy and summery. So if I end up doing something outdoors, that would probably be a good one to read. Another one that I saw that had a number that jumped out to me was The 13th Sign by Kristen O'Donnell Tubb. This one, and actually this one is another one that's signed. I don't know how I ended up with all these like signed books, but this one is also signed. And I don't know, like, I guess I don't even know what it's about, but I think it has to do with like astrology, horoscopes, that kind of thing. I think it's a YA book. So the next one that I have is short stories, and spoiler alert, elsewhere on my card there's a square for short stories, so I pulled this originally for the short story square, but then I realized it had a number in the title, and it is One More Thing, Stories and Other Stories by B.J. Novak. So B.J. Novak was Ryan on The Office. I'm a big fan of The Office, and so I bought this book a while back. Look, there's a picture of him on the back of it. And I picked it out. I picked it off my shelves because it has short stories in it, but then also it has the number 1 in it. So I'm going to stick it in my stack with books with numbered titles. And then when I read, I might put it in with the short story stack. I might leave it with the number stack. I don't know. But we're not double dipping. So it has to go in one or the other. I can't double dip it. And then finally, for this little box, I have a memoir nonfiction. And it is My Escape from North Korea, 1,000 Miles to Freedom by Insoon Kim. It's translated. And so this is a bit of nonfiction. I went through a kick where I was reading a lot of Escape from North Korea memoirs. And so I have this one, and I don't know what to say about it, but yeah, I was just really on a kick a while back, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, where I was really interested in these books about people escaping terrible situations to live, you know, somewhere else or whatever. And so this is one that I have that is centered around North Korea. So there's that, and it has 1,000, which is a number. So there's that. So those are the books I have I could choose from to work on that square. And then the last square, because there's like 5 across the top. So the last square across the top is a book that came out the year you turned 25. So as I sit here right now, I am 42. So the year I turned 25 was 2006. So that's the year. I'm looking for books that were published in 2006. Well, if you do a quick Google search and you look up books that were, you know, published, you know, popular books that were published in 2006, you would see names like, let's see, what do you get? You're going to see names like The Book Thief, read it. The Road by Cormac McCarthy, read it. You're going to see books like Eat, Pray, Love, read it. You're going to see books like The Blind Side, read it. You're going to see books like, what other books would I see? Like, it started to become kind of funny whenever I started to look at the titles, because I was realizing that I didn't necessarily have as many to choose from as I thought I did, because I had read, you know, quite a few that, you know, were on my shelves, but I had already read them, right? So I didn't have as many to pick from. And so, yeah, like some of them, like Marisha Pessel's Special Topics in Calamity Physics, read it, right? And so I started to get kind of nervous. And so I think what I did is A Dirty Job by Christopher Moore. If you're not reading Christopher Moore, his books are hilarious and so funny. So I think you guys get the picture that I pretty much read a lot of the books that were published in not all of them, but a lot. So I didn't have as many to choose from on my shelves. So I did, I think, a search and searched a bunch of different websites to just look at lists to see if any of them looked familiar to what I had on the shelves, because if I was pulling books off the shelf and checking their publication dates, that was going to take a long time, and I don't have all my books listed in Goodreads because I just don't. And so I found one that I haven't read that's been on my shelf for probably the whole time since it's been published, and it is Abundance by Senna Jeter Nasland. I probably messed it up. And as you can see, it's a novelization of Marie Antoinette. It is a chunky book, which kind of fits in with my whole idea of like reading chunky books this year. And it's super dusty because I have had it on a bookshelf, and it's got the version that I have has deckled edges, and they're quite dusty. They have little dust bunnies clinging to the deckled edges. But a little bit of, you know, like historical fictionalization type situation. So I feel like that would probably be really interesting. And the reviews looked okay whenever I looked it up to see what the reviews were like. So y'all, I might have bitten off more than I can chew, but I won't necessarily read all of those books, but I will definitely be reading some of those books, hopefully. Like my goal on the bingo card is to get a blackout, and so I'll be trying to read as many of these books as possible. So those are just some of the options for the first row across the top. I will come back with another video soon where I talk about the next row. So stay tuned for that. Be looking out for that one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!